We've been banging on about the SAVE Act, but here's another 90-10 issue. Here's another issue that like cuts directly in our favor to eliminate fraud. And we'd really like to shine the spotlight back on it because it's as big of a winning issue as voter ID. They're both fraud, obviously. And it's both from the same communities, right?
Well, look, the president has appointed the vice president, J.D. Vance, to oversee a fraud commission. You have Dr. Oz and CMS actually cracking down and demanding answers from New York, from California, from Minnesota, to actually start getting the information they need to root this out and implement the changes that we made in the Working Families Tax Cut bill to require eligibility verification, citizenship verification, work requirements for able-bodied adults without dependent children, so that Medicaid, for instance, is focused on the people who really need it. Single moms with young children, our seniors who are, below the poverty level, the IDD community. We want to make sure that anybody with a disability that needs this support, that they have it. But this system, the Medicaid system in particular, has grown exponentially, especially under Joe Biden. It is unsustainable at the rates that it was going. And so we're reining it in. We're demanding answers. Even Democrats like Tom DiNapoli, as I say, putting out a report exposing the fraud in New York, saying we have a problem here. We're paying for people who don't live in our state. That's how corrupt the system has become. And so it's really incumbent on Congress and the administration to crack down on these states. And it's also incumbent on state legislators to start asking questions and demanding answers from these governors and how their money is being spent at a state level, because a lot of these programs are both federal and state funded.
Do you think that they'll get away with it? The census is coming up. I mean, I don't know exactly when they start counting heads, but the 2030 is the implementation of the census, and 2030 is a new map. So I'd assume that the census would take place then in 2028, right?
You'll have the census start being counted in advance of 2030. You'll get the 2030 census numbers, and then obviously the redistricting process will take place heading into 2032. Which will be another presidential election year by that point. But we deal with this every 10 years. President Trump obviously was in control of the census in 2018, 2019, heading into 2020, which was critical to actually have a fair and honest accounting. If the Democrats win in 2028, they will be in charge of the census, and they will do everything they can to make sure that New York and California, that they are counting every illegal, they are counting everybody that is homeless out on the streets. They will do everything in their power to make sure that they keep congressional seats in New York and California, even if they really should not be getting them, especially because of illegal immigrants. I have a bill that would prevent illegals from being counted for the purpose of reapportionment. They should not count towards redistricting, period.
So why is that even remotely controversial? I'm aware of how the Constitution, I'm aware of how the original documents are written to count peoples and not citizens. I get why they wrote it hundreds of years ago like that. It seems like that in the modern day, that's sort of like an archaic slavery, holdover, right, for southern states. Now that's been moved clearly to benefit states that have illegal criminal aliens as much as possible. Seems like it shouldn't be controversial.
But listen, again, to get a full count, on the census, great, count everybody. But for the purpose of reapportionment, the only people that should be counted are citizens and lawful immigrants. Somebody who's here illegally should not be counted. And that is the problem with New York and California. They have rigged the system. They've done it for years. The only reason this is controversial is because Democrats know that if this were to change, if illegals were not counted in the census, it would be lights out in some of these states when it comes to their electoral power. And that's why they are so opposed to it. That's why Chuck Schumer is screaming about the Save America Act. and saying that it's the most disastrous legislation ever. Chuck Schumer is the biggest jackass in America. He is so dishonest. It is disgraceful that Chuck Schumer is the United States Senator from New York. He's been in elected office since 1975. He was first elected during Watergate in 1974. Chuck Schumer has never held a job outside of elected office. First the state assembly, then the United States House of Representatives, now the U.S. Senate. He is disgraceful and disgusting, and he needs to go home.
He's clearly going to go home to a home, hopefully that's not in Palm Beach. I find it remarkable how it's like, how Pelosi is buying property in Florida, right? But also to a home in New York that's really degraded. We have this map here that shows the potential census count for New York, and New York losing 2, 3, maybe seats. You said that New York's been losing seats, two every couple of census. California, all red states, man. All red states getting just like all blue states getting gutted. They're red on the map here because they're losing seats. And then all red states are gaining seats.
But look at that map, and you see Texas and Florida in particular picking up 8 seats. That means a 16 vote swing on electoral votes right there, because they're gaining them from blue states. And you can see heading into 2032 presidential election, Democrats are in real trouble when it comes to the Electoral College and when it comes to the House of Representatives. And you look at the voting rights case that's before the Supreme Court, that's going to result in probably another 19 seats that are going to move away from Democrats. So you're talking upwards, potentially, when all is said and done, of 25 to 30 seats that are going to shift from Democrat to Republican over the next 6 years. And that is going to be a tremendous shift in power away from these blue states, especially on the coast. And that's why they are fighting so hard against any type of reform or oversight or reining in of these sanctuary policies that have allowed illegal immigrants to flood their states, because they know it's the only way they are keeping electoral power.
Man, it's dark. It's dark, man. It's like completely sinister. And we really pray that Republicans can get their act together and realize that we are sitting on the precipice kind of like the election that sort of pivots the country. I know we always say this, it's always like this every election, but nobody really thought about that with Mitt Romney, right? Like nobody really thought that, Mitt Romney is like, it's going to change, it's either Mitt Romney, 1,000 years of darkness or light. Like nobody really thought that. He's kind of like different shades of Barack Obama. But now it is true. Like we know what Democrats are going to do if they get power again. They've been totally transparent about it. And
they'll eliminate the filibuster if they take the Senate. There's no question about that. They tried to do it last Congress when they had control. Sinema and Manchin were the only things standing in their way. They will eliminate the filibuster and just try to jam through everything they can the next time they have the trifecta. So look, these elections matter. The margins are tight, especially in the House right now. The map is what it is. There's only about 30 seats that are actually competitive. Mine's one of them. And that's just a reality of the map.
It's going to be, I think that over the course of the next couple of years, that reality is going to be just like painfully reflected to Democrats who betrayed their states. You can see all the people leaving Illinois and California and New York. I just hope that it happens quickly enough that we can get that it can't be rigged. They can't rig it. But I guess we'll see. You're right about what happened in 2020. That's crazy, man, that they were able to like pull one over. DeSantis keeps banging on about how many seats they stole from Florida, and they did. Like the math totally works out. They straight up stole congressional seats from Florida.
No, they could have lost even more in New York and California, especially if illegals weren't counted.
Yeah. Well, we'll keep hitting the bricks and keep telling as many people as possible, like, stop counting illegals in the census and for the apportionment. Thank you, Congressman. What is the name of your bill?
It's a bill that's focused on ending, the partisan gerrymandering, but it also ends the counting of illegal immigrants in the census. I think we need some reforms. You need to get this insanity to stop, but the illegals being counted in the census really needs to stop for the purpose of reapportionment.
Is there a name of the bill that we can like start hitting online?
We'll get it. We'll get it for you.
Okay,
I forget
great.
it off the top of my head, but we'll
Great.
get the bill for you. Oh, there
we
it
got-
is. The Fair Map Act. There it is.
Okay.
You pulled it up.
Fair Map Act, ladies and
Yep.
gentlemen. There it is. Make sure that you are fighting as hard as you can in this moment. Don't black pill. Don't doom. That's exactly what they want you to do. They want to break up MAGA.